Hey everyone, and welcome to the Crusader Kings 2 Age of Petty Kings mod, or the Seven Kingdoms mod for Crusader Kings 2, as it's also known. This mod is still very much in development. It's a relatively new mod, and quite a few things have changed since the last time I played. And I would like to just introduce you to some of these changes, and just, show you some of the things that I think are really, really cool. This is by no means exhaustive. I'm just going to point to some things that I really find interesting. You can find the entire changelog and also the newest version by clicking the link that I've left in the description. Now, the first thing I should mention is that the starting scenario has changed a little bit. It's now called the Bronzeman Rebellion, although it's over here it also says the Age of Petty Kings. But basically this changes a few, it makes some pretty major changes to the Vale, especially. So instead of starting off with the Royces as being first men that are, currently fighting against the Arryns, we have the Royces, I think, already converted to the 7. Okay, maybe I'm wrong here, but basically no, I think that's actually the case. Okay, sorry. We'll check that out when we're in the game, but I think they are favored the 7, and they are just kind of rising up against the Arryns, and you can read this little text here, but basically a lot of them were slaughtered during a feast or something like that, and then the new Lord of Runestone, Unda, made his way back to his seat in Runestone, and upon his arrival, he was coronated the following day. Anda, King of the Rune Mountain and Protector of the Bronzemen. So this is the new kind of scenario, and that made a few changes to the Muds as well, because the first son of Tristan Mud is now dead. So you actually, if you play as the Muds, you immediately start off as you immediately start off with Tristopher, the Hammer of Justice, as your heir, which is a nice change, I would say. Anyways, I don't want to play as any of these characters, though. I want to get into the game as someone completely different, which is my highlight of this mod. One thing I should mention here is that the features that I introduce now, or that I talk about now, is not just from the last update, but from the last like 3 or 4 updates of the mod. So there's no, there's no particular rank or order in which I introduce this to you, simply things that I find interesting. And yeah, the biggest feature for me, or the greatest change for me, is the inclusion of House Sentinel of Riverguard. This is amazing. I mean, some of you people have been asking me if House Sentinel will be in the mod, and if I'm asking for it, and I never really wanted to, because, well, if you know the history of House Sentinel, my custom house, then you know that they've been basically established in the War of the Five Kings. So it wouldn't really make much sense, especially because, they're favored the 7 and so on and so forth. But I then decided, okay, you know what, I actually want to have them in. So I asked, and thanks to Weirwood, he actually put them in. And he didn't just put them in. I simply said, could you add House Sentinel? And he added a lot of detail to the house. So I really like that. So we're gonna check them out for now, and then I'll obviously talk about other things as well. But this kind of has to happen. So yeah, let's play as Mark of Riverguard, as it's not known as Sentinel's Point, which I think it makes a lot of sense, because having Sentinel's Point and then renaming it just wouldn't really make much sense. But Riverguard is actually really cool as well, because it kind of feeds into the whole theme, of the guards of Sentinel's Point. Regardless, so yeah, first thing that you will notice right now is that there are new portraits. I actually wanted to show you the face of Mark, because you can't really see it when you're in the game. Not sure if I really like it that much, but there are many kings. There are many new portraits, I should say. I think every culture has basically new portraits now, and some of them I haven't really understood why or how exactly this is determined. But for example, you have some people that have these helmets, and others that don't. Not, as I said, I don't really understand why. For example, if you see these two sons, they just have their regular portraits, right? But this guy right here, Prince Robert of the Rainlands, he has the helmet. So I don't know how that, as I said, how this is determined, but it is cool. I do have to admit, though, that the muddish helmets, as that's the culture, they don't really look that great. I would rather have like maybe the ones that the Westermen have. Those are really cool helmets. Do the Ironborn also get helmets? They have kind of the same helmets as we do. Okay. Yeah, that's not entirely perfect, but regardless. So many new portraits, and some of the portraits are also going to be very interesting to people who like to play as the Valyrians. So yeah, the Valerians, for example, have their blonde hair. I do also believe they have their purple eyes, although it's hard to see. But especially the hair is possible, and also their children have unique portraits, which I think is really cool. Yeah, so that's one thing. But yeah, let's talk a little bit more about House Sentinel. First of all, I love the style. They're a first-man house, or an old god house, and this style reminds me sort of the First Man drawings. So this is really cool, but it also kind of... It's also in the style of the Muds, because if you look at the crown of House Mud, it's a black... it's a brown background, and then you have this golden crown, and you have like this golden or yellow god, which is really, really cool, because apparently House Sentinel was, or the founder of House Sentinel, Lord Mark of Riverguard, was a bastard of Prince Miles Mud, the brother of the current king. So the Mud King is actually our uncle, and I'm not sure if as a bastard you get to inherit strong claims, but I think it's possible. So if Miles dies, we could have a weak claim on the kingdom of the rivers in hills. Now this will not, be passed down any further unless you press the claim and so on and so forth. And we also don't get the House Mud blood trait, but still, this is really cool. I really love the inclusion of House Sentinel. I think I've already talked 5 minutes about it, but once again, I really love this quite a bit. Now, let's actually move on. I already talked about the portraits and about the new sort of scenario that we have got going on. And the Roysters, let me quickly check this out. You are of the 7. Yeah, they are followers of the 7 now. And yeah, as you can see, the Corbries and the Arryns have kind of united their realms. They're no longer different kings. And, the Mountains of the Moon, the Eyrie, is now properly placed. So you really have to go through the Gates of the Moon first in order to attack the Eyrie. And that looks magnificent. I really love this a lot. Okay. Now, a few things that also changed with House Mud, as I said, we have the son Elmar. He's actually died in battle. He used to be the heir to the Hammer of, or he used to be the older son of the Hammer of Justice and the heir to the Mud Kingdom, but nobody really liked that, I suppose. So he's now the second son, and he starts off killed against King Armistead, and now if you play as the Muds, you immediately have Prince Christopher as your heir. And one really cool addition is that you now have various weapons. You have the Hammer of Justice, personally forged by Christopher in his youth, Colossal Warhammer Dwarves, all other weapons on the battlefield, and only a handful of men are strong enough to wield the hammer in battle, mainly used for ceremonial occasions such as executions and coronations. I'm not really sure how you execute someone with a hammer. That must be pretty painful, but okay. That is certainly really cool. There's other swords as well, like Valyrian steel, or other weapons, like Valyrian steel swords, or like Dawn. You can find it here. Really cool, giving some bonus to martial combat skill and of course prestige. Very, very nice. And I think a few other notable ones is, I think, Lamentation. Maybe that was wrong. Apparently that was wrong. There's 3 more Royces. Maybe John Royce has Lamentation? No. Okay, I'm not sure. Maybe that was wrong then. But I think another sword that was present is Red Rain. Yeah, there it is. For House Rain, obviously. It doesn't have a description yet. But yeah, this is really cool. So there's probably going to be more swords added as time goes on. But they've already added in a few. And I really like that quite a bit. Now, House Sentinel is not the only house that has been introduced, or not the only new house. We also now have House Martell over here in Dawn. They are not the rulers of Dawn, because they only became the rulers, or the kings really, after the Rhoynar migration. But still, they're over here now, and they rule from the Sandship, or, well, the Tower of the Sun. So yeah, at least House Martell is here, and I think we also have House Mormont as loyal houses to the Starks in Winterfell. Let me quickly check your court. You have all kinds of people. Yeah, there it is, Geo Mormont, and he is, I think he's the head of the house. Yeah, there's only 3 living members, Geo and Jorah, I like that, and Morgan Mormont as well, and he's actually celibate. 3 years old and you're already celibate. Really cool. Yeah, so that obviously means that Bear Island is not currently controlled by the Mormonts. It's instead controlled by the Ironborn, which makes sense because obviously it was won in a wrestling match. At least that is how the story goes. Now, speaking of the Ironborn, there have been a few changes to the Ironborn as well. They are no longer, they no longer start off independent. There are all, except for I just noticed, Lonely Light seems to be on their own. House Grey Iron is over here, as well as House Farwind, and they are believing in the Storm God. Interesting. But yeah, so as you can see, they are now a united entity, but the Ironborn are a little bit special. They have a special government, which is supposed to be very decentralized. So House Hor is ruling from Orkmont, and they also have the kingdom, and they have 2 kingdom titles. I'm not sure what that is all about, but I will quickly open the console here because I would like to switch to the Ironborn and likely check out their new government. I'm not sure what it adds. I haven't checked it out yet, but it's supposed to be kind of cool. So let's have our laws. Basically, yeah, look at this. Basically, vassal wars are allowed. Decentralization is minimum. Basically, nothing has been enforced, right? And I believe if we look at the council, yeah, the council gets to decide everything. So you are a united realm, but you're very much dependent on your council and I guess your lords. And also, if we check out the inheritance, it's also elective, and it's agnatic elective, which means basically everyone or anyone can be elected. I was kind of hoping for a description here, but no, this is fine. So really cool. I love that change. It gives a little bit more power to the Ironborn because they're united, but they're also unstable in a sense. So I really do enjoy that quite a bit. Okay, let's move on. We have, yeah, speaking of united realms, there's also now the possibility that you can create unions. For example, the Arbor and Old Town, I think they can. One king can swear fealty to another king. There needs to be some requirements met. I think the most important thing is that the person you swear fealty to is stronger than you, and that you like them, and that they like you as well. I think those are the only requirements. But yeah, once that happens, you can form various kingdoms. So for example, if the Arbor and Old Town form a kingdom together, they form the kingdom of Wineland or Wine, and that is mostly based on their culture, right? But if, for example, someone was, or all of the kings of the de jure reach, right, would swear fealty to the gardeners, right? Then they would form the reach. And then they could have a decision to consolidate their realm, which basically gets rid of all of the other kingdom titles. So there's no more Rowan kings or, other Marcher kings or whatever, but they will then get demoted to dukes. At least that's how I understood, which I think is really cool. So you get more options to consolidate your realm and also more options of unions. There's always going to be one option to form the one that was formed historically, as I said, like, the Reach, but there's also unique kingdoms depending on the different cultures. Yeah, moving on, we've got many, okay, I think that's also kind of important. We've got some new recoloring of all regions, basically. So before we had basically all kinds of red shades for the Westernlands and all kinds of green shades for the Reach. And while this did make sense, it obviously was a little bit difficult to see what was going on. So things have been changed around a little bit, and I think, yeah, that looks much better. Yeah, it looks much better overall. Now, also, we've got many new culture buildings. So yeah, I've already checked out the culture map once. So let's do that once again. And basically, each of these unique cultures has their own cultural buildings. We can quickly check that out with our Muddish buildings. Let me see. I probably have to... I'm not sure where it shows the culture buildings. Maybe that is the only culture that doesn't have... Oh, there it is. Muddish Training Center. So I think this is probably our culture. I wonder what others have. For example, the Ironborn. They have Pycam Training Center. Okay, so it's basically... Okay, so it gives you extra forces, and it does give you some bonus, some combat bonus as well. So they get light cavalry defense. Ah, I see. But why would the Ironborn get cavalry? I don't know. What do we get? What do we get? We get levy infantry and more morale and professional infantry as well. Okay, very nice. So yeah, all of these culture buildings obviously give some bonuses. So it's you have to focus on what forces you want to build, because you know they can give you bonuses. Now this also ties into the traits of your commander. So for example, if you are playing, it doesn't show right now, but if you have a commander who has don't have anyone with any traits, but you know, like the cavalry leader, infantry leader, and so on and so forth, they then give bonuses, and so you want to pick them depending on your cultural bonuses as well, because you know that just adds up. Yeah, moving on. We have got, as I said, a few terrain changes. You know, I've already checked out the Eyrie here, which is now surrounded by impassable terrain, which is really cool. We did have the Bloody Gate or before, and I think Moat Caelan as well. So there's some extra defenses. Basically, if you attack, this is not impassable terrain here, but if you attack across, then you get a penalty. A huge penalty. It's like a major river crossing or like a naval landing penalty. So it's really, really significant. And for most of the time, you know, you don't also have a what is this terrain? This is hill terrain. So you not only get the river crossing or naval landing penalty, but you also get the terrain penalty. So it's really difficult to attack people in these various regions. Same goes for, you know, the Princess Pass here in Skyreach. But yeah, those are a few changes, but we also have a few islands added. So I think this Witch Isle, very small island, has been added on the Vale, and then a few others, like I think here's Sun Isle, and a few more as well, maybe even Sweetport Sound. Not too sure about that one, but yeah, that has all been changed, and a few more rivers as well. I think there's more navigable, I can't say that, more bigger rivers in the Vale to have been added here, and a few others have been fixed as well, because they were not working properly before. And yeah, last but not least, I would like to talk about the combat traits. So you've seen that a lot already. You have like these Master Warrior or Legendary, he might be just an Expert Warrior, but we have like, I think Trestifer, he's a Legendary Warrior, giving all kinds of extra combat skill. Now the way combat works in this mod is actually really cool, because if you have combat traits or these fighter traits, your chances of being wounded or maimed or so on and so forth in battles increases, whereas your chance of dying decreases. So it kind of shows like, okay, if you don't know how to fight, you don't really try to pick a fight, right? So the chances are that you're not going to die because you're going to linger on the edge of battle. But if you happen to be challenged to a duel or something like that, you are most likely to die immediately because you don't know how to fight. Whereas someone who knows how to fight, you know, they're getting into these fights all the time and, you know, obviously suffer wounds often, but they're not likely to die because they're a good fighter. I really like that. I really like that. Makes it very interesting for people to roleplay as well, I think. But yeah, that was all I had to say. I mean, it was already 20 minutes, so sorry about that, but I'm really pumped for this mod. I do enjoy it quite a bit, and I'm thinking about maybe starting a single player as well, because the multiplayer, I know this is the actual reason this mod has been created, so that multiplayer is more fun and more stable, but I'm thinking about making or starting a single player campaign, because the multiplayer game that we started last week was vanilla, and it went really well, and I would actually like to continue that. So it would be a long time before we could start one with the Petty Kings mod. So maybe if you guys are interested, let me know if you would like to see a single player campaign. If so, also please let me know what I should play. And yeah, that's it. Also, if you have any questions, you can obviously leave comments here asking me, although I don't really know that much. So I would recommend you guys check out the ModDB page where you can download the mod, because there you can also leave comments and questions, and the developers are very eager to get back and answer these questions. But yeah, that was it from me. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed, and yeah, I'll see you guys next time.